And joining us on the line is Representative Duncan Hunter, a member of the House, Republican from California. Congressman, thank you so much for joining us. It's good to have you.
Hey, thank you for having me on this morning.
Listen, we wanted to talk to you about the President's State of the Union address, but I mean, since you serve in Congress, you're a former Marine. I'm correct. You serve on armed services, correct?
Yes.
I would like to ask you about this incident involving the capture, the detaining of, I don't guess capture is the right word, but the detaining of 10 sailors by the Iranians as apparently the boats came into Iranian waters. There's so many questions about this. First of all, how does it happen? The timing of it is very suspicious. How do two boats fail simultaneously? Do you have a lot of questions about this?
A lot of questions about it. So whether one boat failed and the other boat stayed with it, or whether we were monitoring the Iranians, which hopefully we are all the time, and hopefully the Israelis are monitoring them too. The biggest question I have is this: when those boats were held overnight, they have a lot of satellite communications equipment. We have a lot of night vision devices. A lot of technology is on each of those boats. What I'm afraid of is that the Iranians have all of that now. Iranians have the boat designs. They have our cryptological communications gear, our night vision stuff, any of our sensors or jammers that we had on those boats. I guarantee you the Iranians have all of that technology now, and they were probably happy to give the sailors back after they were able to capture all the American technology.
So you think they stripped that boat pretty clean before they let them go back?
Yeah, well, not even strip it necessarily, but just kind of reverse engineer everything, look at everything, go into the computer systems, make sure that they had everything that we had in terms of all of those things I just mentioned, and then said, all right, guys, go along your merry way.
Based on your understanding of what the Navy has said here, that these crew members were on a mission from Kuwait to Yemen, I believe, right?
Bahrain.
Or Bahrain, excuse me.
To Bahrain. It's about 300 miles.
Yeah. Is this the appropriate watercraft, based on your understanding, for that kind of...
No. Making a run like that? Yeah.
No, it isn't. But who knows what we were doing? I'm not going to... There had to be a reason that they were in the water, and they were in the water for a reason there, right? And a reason that only the commander on the ground there knows. They were told to go. They were doing something, maybe just transiting, maybe monitoring, maybe doing both. But those are all the questions that we have, and we don't have any answers. And frankly, I don't really trust the administration to give us real answers on this, because it was Iran kind of thumbing us in the eye again, taunting us, being belligerent, and the administration doesn't like to talk about that. So we'll wait and hear from our Defense Department sources to see what the real answer is. We're not going to get the answer from the administration.
Do you think that this was engineered by the Iranians, or was that just coincidence that this all happened just as the president's about to deliver his State of the Union address?
I don't think the Iranians are that smart, frankly. I mean, they're smart. They're obviously better negotiators than we are. But I don't think they're smart enough to engineer something like this to happen. I think it's just bad luck or coincidence.
All right. Let me ask you, this is a part of President Obama's speech last night. You were lucky enough to be in the chamber during this whole thing.
I will keep working to shut down the prison at Guantanamo. It is expensive, it is unnecessary, and it only serves as a recruitment brochure for our enemies.
You sit on the subcommittee on emerging threats and capabilities there on the Armed Services Committee. So you know about emerging threats. If this is a recruitment tool, Gitmo, then you must be keyed in on that, considering you monitor emerging threats. What do you say?
Yeah, I don't think it's a recruiting tool at all. You don't have radical Islamists in San Bernardino yelling "Close Gitmo" as they gun people down. They yell "Allah Akbar." What Gitmo needs, what Guantanamo needs to be, is expanded. Here's a question for you: What happens to all the Syrians and Iraqis, all the ISIS fighters that we capture and don't kill? What happens to them now?
Yeah.
You know what the answer is? We release them. That's what happens to them.
Yeah.
So everybody that we catch now, because we're not putting anybody in Guantanamo Bay with this president anymore. We don't put them on ships anymore and interrogate them. So what do we do with the hundreds of people that we capture in Iraq and Syria and Afghanistan? We turn them back over to the host countries, and let's not play around about the justice system in any of these countries. It's a total sham and a total joke. So in my opinion, it's illegal. Number one, for the president to close Guantanamo. That's not an executive order. That's actual law. That he's not able to use any monies to close Guantanamo. And number two, the war on terror isn't over. In fact, it's getting bigger and bigger all the time. with ISIS in the Middle East, Guantanamo needs to be expanded, because right now what we're doing is we're catching and releasing the bad guys that we capture. And I'll tell you what, that's one of the biggest hits on the morale of our special forces that are in Afghanistan right now, and all of our troops, frankly, that are in Afghanistan and that are in the ISIS fight, is that what do we do with the bad guys when we catch them? We give them right back.
You say it's illegal for the president to do that. I mean, can Congress actively make him stop doing what he's doing?
Right now, the president cannot spend a dime to close Guantanamo. It's illegal.
But he can't close it. He can just empty it.
He can just empty it.
Well, he has to notify us. Right now, he can't transfer prisoners either, unless they hit specific criteria and the Secretary of Defense notifies Congress. However, as we've seen, that isn't true either, that the president can kind of do what he wants in terms of transferring 4 or 5 prisoners for someone like Bo Bergdahl.
Yeah. Well, he'll let you know. I mean, just because he has to give you notice doesn't mean that you guys can do anything over on the Hill, can you?
No.
Yeah.
To answer your question, no.
Yeah.
No. I mean, this is why elections have consequences, and whoever the commander-in-chief is matters.
So the next candidate for the Republicans, whoever gets the nomination, they pick up the phone, they call Duncan Hunter and get his advice on foreign affairs and national security, which, by the way, they should. You'll say, I suggest you campaign on expanding Gitmo.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, because the war isn't over as far as I know. I still have friends going overseas, and as long as that's happening, you have to have a place to put the bad guys that are on the battlefield so you don't have to fight them the next day. Right. And right now, that's exactly what's happening.
Duncan Hunter, thank you for joining us.
Great to have you. Thanks a lot, Congressman.
Representing all of those sailors and Marines down there in the San Diego area.